Let's just get right into it, and today I'm going to read you guys a couple of healing remedies and witch spells. I don't perform any spells that require incantations. It's just a personal rule of mine. But there are lots of those online and, in libraries if you did want ones with incantations. Okay. We're going to be reading from this book. Put this over here. Okay. Let's see. Shins. Healing. And we're going to just pick one at random. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so it looks like we landed on dietary therapy. Dietary therapy. So, there are 4 dietary principles of Chinese medicine. Dietary practices, okay? So, here we're going to learn about, and if I mispronounce some of these, please forgive me, Qi, Jing, Shen, and Xue. So, food has tremendous powers in Chinese medicine. A healthy diet harnesses food energetics by combining foods that balance each other, so no one energetic influence becomes too strong. So, how you can do this is don't eat too many raw foods. Eat warm foods to keep the digestive process working well. Chinese medicine sees raw foods as depleting. They may cause a cold, damp condition because your body has to expend extra energy to cook the food in your stomach. The only people who should eat raw foods in higher than recommended amounts are those who have very hot body constitutions. We'll get into your body constitution in a bit, okay? So, avoid iced and frozen foods. It takes warmth and qi to digest foods that are cold. Chew each bite of food carefully. Don't stuff yourself. Drink scant liquid during meals. If you drink too much liquid during meals, you'll drown the digestive fire. Eat organic foods as much as possible. The elimination of synthetic pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, and other chemical residues in vegetables, meats, and dairy increases available qi and removes antagonists to your overall health, and also makes food taste better. If you eat meat, it is best to eat meat from animals that have been fed organic diets. Eat unprocessed foods as much as possible. Principle number 2. Most of your food should be eaten in season. Okay? So that means whatever foods are in season, so apples in the fall, watermelon in the summer, things like that. Eat those more than the other fruits or vegetables that may not be in season currently, to help your body adjust to the different seasons. Principle number 3, moderation and variety in diet are essential for a balanced body, mind, and spirit. So there is no list of good foods and bad foods. Eating too much of anything is unhealthy. For example, you can overdo broccoli and whole grains. Small amounts of unrefined sugars are not necessarily unhealthy. However, too much sugar, highly processed refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup is not great. So eat a wide variety of foods, vegetables, grains, fish, meats, fruits, dairy, in moderation. Of course, if you have allergies, do not have those foods. I myself cannot have gluten or dairy or sunflower oil or cherries or coconuts. The list is quite long, but that's okay. So principle number 4 is that food is powerful medicine. I am also a big believer in this. Chinese medicine dietary practices form the basis for effective preventative medicine. When you eat the foods that maintain the flow of qi and the harmonious functioning of the organ systems, the immune system remains strong, bone and muscles remain flexible and supportive, digestion is good, the skin is healthy, the mind and spirit remain clear, and stress and anger dissipate. Okay, so signs of a deficient qi include lethargy, loose stools like diarrhea, fatigue, weakness, decreased appetite, shortness of breath, and occasionally cold extremities like your fingers, and frequent urination. Okay. Signs include a thin, weak pulse. So you feel the pulse on your veins. And a tongue that is pale, possibly swollen with tooth marks. I actually usually do have tooth marks here. But yes. So here we get into the diagnoses, whatever. So if you have deficient qi, your diet should contain half of your total calories should come from grains and legumes, a third from vegetables, and about 15% from fish or meats. With meats, you don't want to tax your digestion or build phlegm, so only eat about 2 to 3 ounces of animal protein per serving. 5% of total calories can come from dairy. Recommended foods include rice or barley, broth, leeks, string beans, sunflower seeds, and carrots. It is best to eat low to moderate glycemic carbohydrates with a low glycemic load. It is important to eat these carbohydrates along with sufficient protein to balance the glycemic index and load. Your diet should not contain raw food, salads, fruits, and juices in excess, okay? In excess, that doesn't mean you can't have them, just not in excess, okay? To treat symptoms with deficient qi, add dried ginger, cinnamon bark, and chicken's eggs to your food. Deficient spleen qi symptoms include lack of appetite, bloating, mild abdominal pain with pressure, that gets better with pressure, loose stools, and fatigue. It includes also a weak pulse and pale, soft tongue with tooth marks and thin white fur. Western diagnoses include diarrhea, gastric or duodenal ulcers, anemia, and even chronic hepatitis. Your diet should contain warming foods such as squash, carrots, potatoes, rutabagas, turnips, leeks, onions, rice, small amounts of chicken, turkey, mutton, beef, cherries, strawberries, figs, cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, custards, and small amounts of honey, molasses, maple syrup, and sugar. Food should be well chewed and eaten in moderate amounts. Your diet should not contain salsa, citrus, too much salt, tofu, millet, millet, buckwheat, milk, cheese, seaweed, and excess sugar. If you have deficient yang, symptoms will include aversion to the cold, craving warm drinks, chilled fingers, toes, ears, and nose tip. Signs include a slow, thready pulse, and tongue that is moist and pale with indentations, tooth marks on the sides. Western diagnoses include swelling, gastritis, enteritis, kidney disease, and colitis. Your diet should not contain raw or chilled foods or foods that are difficult to digest, such as fatty foods, raw cruciferous vegetables, and milk. Dampness associated with deficient spleen key deficiency. Symptoms include headaches, watery stools, queasy stomach. Signs include slippery pulse, tongue fur that is thick and greasy, and a tongue body that is swollen with tooth marks and along the sides. Western diagnoses include hepatitis, dysentery, gastroenteritis, parasites, and severe diarrhea. Foods should contain the same foods as denoted for deficient spleen key, and also foods that drain excess dampness, such as barley, corn, azuki beans, garlic, mushrooms, mustards, greens, chicken, alfalfa, shrimp, scallions, and rye. Be careful of too much red meat, salt, or sugar in food that produces damp, including dairy products, pork, shark meat, eggs, sardines, octopus, coconut milk, cucumber, duck, goose, seaweed, olives, soybeans, tofu, spinach, pine nuts, and alcohol. Spleen key deficiency with damp cold would be symptoms of water retention, puffiness, feeling cold, mild nausea, trouble breathing, watery stools, and clear, frequent urine. Signs include a pulse that is weak and slippery or soft and slow, and a pale tongue with tooth marks on the sides. I feel like that's the symptoms of, or the signs of a lot of these. Western diagnoses include edema, parasites, ulcers, and Crohn's disease. Diet should be 65% of total calorie intake from grains or legumes, 25% of diet from vegetables, 10% red and white meat, no more than 25 ounces a week. Modern recommendations would lower the intake of carbohydrates to closer to 30%. Your diet should not contain raw food, fruits, sugar, and dairy products. Spleen deficiency with damp heat. Symptoms include hot, heavy feeling, fever, nausea, costal or abdominal pain, labored breathing, and diarrhea. Signs include a weak and slippery or soft pulse that's rapid, and a tongue that's swollen and reddish, possibly with yellow fur. Western diagnoses include colitis, acute hepatitis, and Crohn's disease. Your diet should contain the traditional diet of 65 to 70% of calories from grains and legumes, 25 to 30% from cooked vegetables, and 5% from white meats, with no more than 6 to 12 ounces in a week. An occasional salad is suggested. You should not have red meat, raw vegetables, other than the occasional suggested salad, fruit juices, and dairy. If you guys want me to read the rest of this, there's quite a bit more, but I don't want you guys to take this as absolute medical advice. I'm not a medical practitioner, but it's just something fun to think about, you know? I think Chinese medicine I believe it is one of the oldest practices of medicine in the world. So there's definitely some truth to it. I think the best mix is Eastern and Western medicine together. That's I could get into it more, but I won't. So everyone has their opinions. Here we have the witch's herbal apothecary. So this is the one with spells. Well, I say spells, but I mean rituals and such. Okay, let's pick a random page, shall we? Ooh, summer portal herbs. That's what it looks like. Let's see here. But the page that we really stumbled on is marking rites of passage. Interesting. I'll read it to you. The summer portal corresponds to the mother archetype, a time in our life when we are autonomous, sorry, I swear I can read, adults forging our own destiny, creating from a place of passion and purpose on a path of self-love, discovery, and self-expression. Entering this portal is often the first time we have the opportunity to create a rite of passage for ourselves, a practice that we may then share with our children, friends, family, and draw on as we age. In the portal of transformation, we learn to fully digest our experiences in order to receive their medicine while also releasing old patterns and tendencies that hold us back from evolving into our next incarnation. A rite of passage allows us to mark the ending of an era and the birthing of a new one. Rituals draw on the power of symbols and their associations in various levels of our consciousness. Some examples of times when marking a rite of passage may be useful are becoming a parent, marking the death of the maiden aspect, moving cities, communities, countries, changing jobs, ending a relationship, release of a pregnancy through miscarriage or abortion, claiming a new title or a new role in your community, such as teacher or therapist. When creating a ritual to mark a rite of passage, craft one that engages all senses. Grieve the end of one era in order to fully open the gifts of the next. So, let's pick an autumn ritual. Let's see here. Spring, I think, are we still in spring? There is so much of this. Maybe I'm going backwards too much. Found him. For some reason, fall was after summer. Okay. So, spiritually, the fall invites us to dig deeper and engage what it is at the root of our blossoming actions. Our transformations will not be complete without also composting the belief that productivity is more valuable than relaxation. The regenerative cycles of the wheel teach us to trust the eternal timing of nature. Okay, so this is going to be an earth whisper ritual, okay? It's a profound ritual of release and renewal and an entry point for you to speak in great intimacy and connections into the fertile darkness of the Earth Mother's sacred flesh. Okay. Always begin by harmonizing your body with the earth, okay? So I recommend being grounded on the floor, maybe going outside, feeling the grass underneath your toes. Once you feel your body connected to the vibration of the earth, lie with your belly on the earth. So lie on your stomach on the floor or on the ground, forest floor or whatever. smell the soil, I guess you have to be outside. Close your eyes and place your palms open on the ground around your face. Speak to the earth. Introduce yourself. Share your intention from your heart. Are you asking to release your burdens or speak your most sacred desires? Ask for permission to open the earth's body. Wait and listen for a yes. The earth is the most generous and benevolent mother. She is always available to take our burdens and griefs and transform them through herself, but we must wait for permission. When you feel a yes, dig a hole. I dig a hole that is big enough for my mouth and nose to fit into, with my brow or third eye resting on the earth. Speak out loud to the mother from your vulnerable places into her open body. This is an incredible and sacred practice to release burdens. Speak your grief, releasing what weighs heavy on your heart. Ask the mother to take it from you. Thank her. When releasing energy, we offer intention into the space that has been made. You do not need to go into detail or call specific things in, although you can also pray in that way if you wish. But do consider that there is an energetic void. Fill it with trust, love, and your prayers. Give a gift to the mother, perhaps a strand of hair, water, a flower mandala, or sacred herbs, in case if it's something meaningful that's a little difficult to give away, then it is a true gift. Ask forgiveness for opening her up in this way. Thank her for her generosity. Close the hole. Lie, breathe, lie as in lie there. Journal and integrate. Okay, so that's again a ritual of release and renewal and an entry point for you to speak in great intimacy with the earth. Okay, perfect for fall. The best fall rituals are rituals of release, grief work, shamanic, journeying, dream magic, herbal bathing, flower waters, cord cutting, midwifing, death are some of those rituals. So I can always read more from this book if you guys want later. But I'm afraid that's all the time